What's good, Commanders fans or Washington fans? I'm just going to chime in on all this news that is coming today. Of course, I got my headband on. I am a little glossy because I did just get done playing basketball. But actually, I'm gonna bury the lead here. So let's talk about Terry McLaurin here. And so I got my old RFK seat right here. But I'm gonna bury the lead here, and let's talk about Terry McLaurin and the extension. The news that came out from Jeremy Fowler. Was it yesterday this came out? I think it was yesterday that this came out with Jeremy Fowler. Yeah, I think yesterday. July 19th. Yep, so yesterday. All right, so he says, my sense is that Jeremy Fowler says his sense is they aren't even close to that. They have a big gap they have to fill, talking about the $30 million. But he did say they're not going to trade Terry McLaurin. He is going to be a commander for the foreseeable future for this next season. But for them to be below 30 mil is pretty disrespectful in my opinion. I think he should definitely get 30 mil. I said 33. I say 33, really. I think he should get more than DK Metcalf. I don't really care about him being 30 years old. It doesn't really matter to me because I think his game is not a game that's on the decline. His game actually can get better, I feel like, especially with a better quarterback, with Jaden Daniels, who is a way better quarterback than he's had for the past six years of his career. And he has stayed healthy the last 4 years of his career as well, like he said in his press conference when he was complaining about not getting paid. Leads the league in contested catches last year, contested catch percentage, contested catch rate, whatever you want to call it. 13 touchdowns last year, which was second in the NFL, and also broke the franchise record for receiving touchdowns as well. Had a big game against the Lions in the playoffs, a big game against the Buccaneers in the playoffs. Really good first half against the Eagles when we just kept fumbling the ball. He was the one receiver that we could really rely on. And of course, he's just a culture guy, man. He's a culture guy, Mr. Commander, good guy all around. This is the guy that you really want to pay and have stay. Like Adam Peters and Dan Quinn talk about culture so much. This is the guy that you should pay to keep your culture going. And you don't want to go into the future or a season having Debo and Noah as your number 1 and 2. Now, like I said, they're not going to trade him. Jeremy Fowler said the same thing too. So he's going to be here, but you don't want to piss him off. And I think the franchise tag, let's say he plays well again. Let's say he has 12 touchdowns this year and actually has 1,200 yards instead of just 1,100 or 1,150 or whatever he usually has, instead of getting 1,200. And it's like, yeah, you got to pay him. You got to pay him, and you're stuck in the same situation. So I do think he is deserving of 30. If Brandon Ayuk got 30, he's deserving of 30. If DK Metcalf got 32, I think Terry's deserving of 30, at least $30 million. Garrett Wilson getting $32 million. I get Garrett is younger, but I think 30 is fair. 30 is fair. Like, he should at least get 30 million. He's earned $30 million as a receiver, for sure. Like, he's definitely earned that. So, but the whole 36, 37, I don't even think he's asking for the 36, $37 million that was put out there by the media. I don't even think he's even into that right now. So, Rick Snyder said it's time to bring back Washington Redskins. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on it, man. Jeremy Fowler, he said cooler heads should prevail. The Washington wants McLaurin there. They're not trading Terry McLaurin. That was made clear to me from a source of the team, Fowler said this morning. But we've seen things change, man. Like, we just know he's not happy, and to hear that it is under 30, like, because at first we didn't know exactly what the parameters were or the money, like, what's the difference? Is it the years? Is it the guarantees? But the fact that they're under 30 definitely gives me more understanding of why Terry McLaurin is upset. And there's some people who disagree, who do feel like he should be paid below 30 and that he really should just play on his contract until it's finished. There's a group that agrees with that too. Now, Adam, I think he's going to have a press conference on Tuesday. Now, their first practice on Wednesday. Now, Terry, I don't think there's going to be a deal done on Monday. Everyone's so optimistic that there's going to be a deal done tomorrow. I don't think so, personally. We've seen 49ers receivers go through this before with Brandon Ayuk, and I know Adam Peters was not there, but we've seen receivers like this go through the situation before. Jamar Chase was not with the Niners, but Jamar Chase did a hold in last year. And I do see that Terry possibly would do a hold in and he would show up so he doesn't get fined. I'm just here so I won't get fined type of thing. That's what I think will happen on Wednesday for the first training camp practice. So that's my thoughts on that. I would love to see I would love to see him get a deal done for sure, as always, because we need him, man. We need him. We cannot have wide receiver 1 and 2 be Debo and no. I like those guys, but you need your best receiver on the field. So your quarterback, your franchise guy, who still is developing, can still be ahead of the development process. Like, he's way ahead of the development process, but there still is development for, of course, a year or two quarterback. So, all right, let's get to the lead here, guys. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. We talked about this many times throughout 2020, 2019. Now, the president has something to say. I don't even think this was on Twitter. It was like some social media platform. I don't know what it is. It says like retruths instead of retweets. So it's very odd. But he says his statement on the Washington Skins has totally blown up, but only in a very positive way. I may put a restriction on them that if they don't change the name back to the original Washington Redskins and get rid of the ridiculous moniker Washington Commanders, I won't make a deal for them to build a stadium in Washington. The team would be much more valuable and the deal would be more exciting for everyone. Cleveland should do the same with the Cleveland Indians. The owner of the Cleveland baseball team, Matt Dolan, who is very political, is lost. I'm not going to get into that. Now, this is what I will say about the Cleveland Indians. I think if he forces them or has any type of say of changing them to the Cleveland Indians, I do think they should change the logo. I think the logo with that smile definitely does look crazy to me. I'll just say that, with that smile and just a red, hot, steaming face. It looks like one of the old Disney cartoons from back in the day. Or like some of the it just looks odd. That's all I'll say. That does look kind of racist. I'm not gonna lie, with that big smile like that and just a steaming red face. So I do think if they do, I highly doubt they do, but the Cleveland Indians does look crazy to me. It does. Now back to the Skins. Does Trump have the power to do that? We'll see. Now, he was at the press conference at the White House when Mayor Bowser was there, Josh Harris was there. I think Roger Goodell was there too, and they were all politicking, trying to get the stadium deal done. So does he really have the power to force the Josh Harris to change the name to the Skins? Are the sponsors still going to pull out like they did back in 2019, 2020? Now, of course, things have changed. Like Aunt Jemima changed, and Uncle Ben's, and like statues were being torn down at that time. So it's definitely a different climate. Like, it's not as like tough as it was back then. But, so that's the differences right there. But I don't think they will change the name back, but it is an interesting thing to see here from the president. And then also, fans there's a lot of fans out here who care more about the name than actual winning, which is that I'm just not on board with that. Like I said, I already said I couldn't care less about the name. I just care about winning. And when they do change the name, if they do change the name back to the Skins, there will be a lot of, because I've seen both sides. I've seen Native Americans who are for the name. I've seen Native Americans who get upset by the name. We've seen, like, I'm going to training camp again this year. I went to training camp a couple of years ago when the name was the Skins, and there was a couple people petitioning and protesting, all kinds of stuff, people protesting outside the stadium. So there's definitely two different sides. And that's why I don't say, hey, I'm for this or not, because I'm not Native American. So I'm not going to speak for what they believe in or what name they want. I have spoken to a couple Native American people who are against the name. I just talked to them like a couple weeks ago. So that's my feelings on it. I'm not strongly for or against. Like I said, I don't care if it's the Washington Cupcakes or whatever. I just want to win football games. And I said this before too. I felt like there was a curse or something. And that even has a little bit of undertone saying that too. So I have to be careful saying that. But I just feel like there was just some type of vibe or something where we were just so bad for the past. And yes, we did win 3 Super Bowls with the Skins name. But the last 25 years or 30 years, we didn't win jack. And I get it was because of Dan Snyder bad ownership too, but I just feel like there was something a little bit there too. Joe Theismann having his leg broke on the same yard line. Alex Smith breaks his leg on the same yard line. There's just a lot of weird stuff going on. That's all I'm going to say about that. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. But it does bring the name talk back again. The new stadium, of course. We just changed the jerseys, or we have our alternate uniforms. And then they are showing the logo a lot more. They showed the logo a lot on the unveiling video with Jaden, Frankie, Jeremy Reeves, Bobby, and Zach Ertz. They showed the VHS and all kinds of stuff. They had the jersey from a couple years with the Skins logo on there too. So, I mean, maybe it was a soft launch. It's not a soft launch, but, if it comes back, that would be kind of like a soft launch of it coming back. But I don't think, I'm not going to say whether I think it is or not, because you just never know. You never know. I don't know how much power he has excuse me, to change it back. And then I don't know the pushback that Josh Harris would get from sponsors. Josh Harris has said numerous times it's not going to come back though, because there's just a lot of backlash it would get. But I know a lot of people in the comment section are going to be going crazy for it. They're going to be going crazy for it. And I still have emojis with it on. I still have emojis with the Skins and Sean Taylor and all that stuff like that. So like I said, I've heard both sides of the spectrum, and I do believe the guy who designed the logo, I don't know too much about it, but he is very passionate. He's a Native American, and he is very passionate about the Skins name. I gotta look it up actually. What his name? I think his name is Crowfoot, the Blackfoot Chief, or something like that. Chief Blackfoot, I think is his name, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, I'm gonna end it there. I don't want to get too much into this, but of course, I just had to talk about it because it's the talk of the town. I wanted to talk about Terry McLaurin specifically too about that. But for the people who would rather have Dan Snyder and back and have the whole old name rather than winning with the name Commanders, you guys are just focused on the name and not actual football. And that's where I just can't interact with people like that. I can't do that. And then there was the fake NAGA account. It was like an NAGA saying reclaim the name or something like that. That was like a fake account, and they were like taking money from people and like donations and stuff like that, like saying they were a nonprofit or something. That's a fake NAGA, and of course it would be NAGA, and it rhymes with something else. So, but yeah, all right, you guys let me know what you guys think. As always, Health Commanders, have a great Sunday. I will see you guys either maybe tomorrow or Tuesday with the press conference with Adam Peters and Josh Harris. I think it's just gonna be Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and Lance Newmark. I'll comment down below once I get that information. Actually, let me look that up right now, real quick. I don't want to give you guys any wrong information, but yes, training camp starts Wednesday. That is the start. And we'll go from there, man. We'll go from there. So, but yeah, no, I don't see anything about it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be on Tuesday. I just want to get that right before I sign off. Yes, Adam Peters and Dan Quinn will speak with reporters on Tuesday to open up training camp. So, I don't think we're going to get much from that. But all right, guys, as always, Health Commanders, peace.